All right, Shalom. First and foremost, before I begin this lesson, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha, Kodash. The honors go out to the apostles, elders, great millstone, who rule and teach well. Shalom, wa barakim to you brothers and sisters out there. All right, this is Brother Malachi from the Great Millstone Nashville camp, and Lord willing, that this lesson is edifying to the hopeful elect. Just a quick topic I wanted to go into, and I got a few scriptures, pulled up that I'm going to read, which, Lord willing, that this lesson is edifying. Okay, but basically what I'm going to go into in this lesson is how this, mockers, scorners, people that are going to talk trash about us, talk bad about us, but the joke's on them. Right, because they, they'll make these remarks and laugh and put comments up and, talk shit. And what they don't understand is that you're marking yourself for judgment. Okay? The Lord doesn't take kindly to disrespect. Or because you look at it as, well, I'm just making fun of these group of men who dress in apparel that I've never seen in my life. Yelling, talking about the Bible, and they don't have lineups, and they got the beards, and they're rough. They look rough, and I'm just gonna make some comments about them, and that's gonna be it. No, the Lord does not appreciate you talking shit about His men, right? They're out there teaching the words of Yahweh Bashmel Shai. That's the mouthpiece. That it's bigger than just men. Okay? This is not of men. Like it says in Acts 5, when Gamaliel was telling Jake, basically, look, leave these men alone, bro. Because if they're doing the will of the Heavenly Father, if they're doing the work, if this is actually like legitimate, then us talking trash about them and persecuting them and doing all that, we're fighting against the Most High. But if it be of men, it will come to naught, meaning it's not gonna continue for much longer. So why don't you guys out there, especially Vocab Malone and the rest of you Christians, why don't you just leave us alone? Why don't you just allow us to continue to do what we're doing, and if it's of men, then it will come to naught? Why don't you just do that? Why don't you take the advice of Gamaliel? Refrain from these men. But instead, especially Jake, just wants to run their mouth about things they don't know anything about. Which we know the scriptures talk about, what man is there that has not slipped with his tongue. So we all make mistakes, but that's not talking shit about the men of the Lord. Okay, we all slip with our tongue, though. We all make mistakes. We all say things we wish we didn't say, and, But like scripture say, too, even you might slip from your tongue, but not from your heart. But you over here talking shit about the prophets, about the men of Yahweh by Shemel Shai, that's inexcusable. Right? It's not warranted. Like, there's no justification for you doing that. Okay? But we already know that Jake is going to do Jake. So, 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 1, it says, "Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness." So we have been appointed to teach this word. It is our job to teach the words of Yahweh Bashmel Shai. Whether people like it or not, whether people agree with it or not, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. All right, like it says in Romans, the 3rd chapter, verses 3 to 4. "For what if some did not believe?" It's not going to change anything. All right, and it says, "and causing," or I already read that. Well, I'm going to read it again. It says, "and causing to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true." And that's what we're reading right now. which, I'm on the internet, but this is just modern day paper. This is digital. This is a digital form of it, digital version. That's all. But this is still, the scriptures are written indeed on paper, the KJV with the Apocrypha. And like it says, they're faithful and true. They're going to come to pass. Like it says to Habakkuk, though it tarry, wait for it. All right, but then it says, fear not the imaginations against thee. All the things that these people will think about in their mind. They're meditating upon persecuting you and bringing you down and talking trash. And don't worry about all that. It says, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. Don't worry about their unbelief. Because that's what incredulity means. It means somebody that is not able or not willing to understand something. All right, it says, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Because ultimately, like we were reading in verse 2, all these things are going to come to pass. So just because you don't believe doesn't change the course of the future. It doesn't change the way that things are going to get done, The Lord is still going to bring his judgment. So let me grab this. Proverbs 19:29, it says, judgments are prepared for scorners and stripes for the back of fools. And that's plain. So if you want to be a scoffer and scorner, then that's fine. You completely have the so-called liberty here, especially in America, to do so. But understand that you will reap what you sow, and there will be consequences for you being a scoffer. All right, and I'm not saying consequences from me or from any other man, in Great Millstone or the affiliate camps. We're not gonna put hands on you. We don't want to put hands. We don't want anything to do with you guys. We just go to work, go home, do the work. We live simple, easy lives. We don't want none of that bugged out stuff. Okay? But the Lord is going to require, a recompense for your actions. So let me grab this. Matthew chapter 12, verse 36 to 37, it says, but I say unto you, that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. Okay, so every word you're going to need to answer for it. And that's not just scoffers and scorners, that's all of us. That's why the scriptures, starting with the scriptures, but then as well, of course, the apostles and elders, they stress the importance of teaching the proper doctrine, breaking down the scriptures properly, rightly dividing the word of truth. Because we're going to have to answer for all the wrong things that we've said. You see? That's why the scriptures say don't allow any filthy communication to come out of your mouth. It's not saying you can't cuss. It's saying you need to break down the scriptures properly. You're not supposed to add or take away from the book. I got this account with Alicia. I'm going to hold that real quick, though, because I'm going to grab this. Then I'm going to get that, and that'll probably be it. So Matthew chapter 18, verse 6. And as you can see this in red. It says, but whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe unto the world because of offenses, for it must needs be that offenses come. But woe to that man by whom the offense cometh. Okay, so the Lord is saying if you offend one of these little ones, one of the believers, it'd be better for a millstone to be hanged on your neck and you be thrown into the depths of the sea. You would be better off taking your chances with that than talking shit. And then it says, woe unto the world because of offenses. But then the Lord goes on to say, but it must needs be that offenses come. So offenses are going to happen, right? It's a part of the movie. Now, the biggest part is, like Yahweh Shai said, blessed is he that is not offended in me. Right? We're not offended in this word. We're not offended in the gospel. We're not offended in, the words of Yahweh by Shemel Shai. But what this is talking about is whoso shall offend, it means, you rub one of them the wrong way. You over here talking shit, about a brother, or especially if you're a family member, or just completely mistreating the prophets, which is nothing new. All right, Ecclesiastes 1 and 9, this has been happening for a very long time. Okay? But you would think if you go out and you see people, which that just shows that they think that what we're doing is vanity and there's no purpose behind it, and it's not beneficial to them. But when you see a group of men out there teaching the Bible with the true names of God and His Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, you have to have some nerve, some type of audacity to proceed to talk shit about these men for doing the Lord's work. That is diabolical. All right, but let me grab this. 2 Kings chapter 2. Go down here at the bottom. Verse 23 and 24. It says, "And he went up from thence unto Bethel. And as he was going up by the way, there came forth little children out of the city, and mocked him, and said unto him, Go up, thou bald head. Go up, thou bald head. And he turned back and looked on them, and cursed them in the name of Yahweh. And there came forth 2 she-bears out of the wood, and tear 42 children of them." So, basically, this group of kids was talking shit about Elisha, and Elisha was offended. And the Spirit was on him to curse them, which what that means is basically praying to Yahweh Shemel Shai for evil to befall somebody. The Lord heard the prayer and sent them bears out. Now, it doesn't exactly specify just how quick they came out, but you would assume, based on how it's written here, that it was almost immediately. When they were having that altercation, and all of them kids were still there talking shit, laughing, mocking, and then the 2 bears came out the woods. And you know the rest. So, be careful what you say, man. It's not just scoffers, all right? We got it, right? You don't talk to a brother crazy, man. All right? You don't call a brother out of his name. You don't insult. You don't, no, treat brothers with respect. Treat yourself with respect. Treat the holy things holy. But then even like that one saying in the world, treat others how you want to be treated. Okay? If you don't, actually, that's really from the scriptures. Love your neighbor as yourself. So we all just got to make sure that we're careful what we say when we say things, because sometimes you might have not said anything wrong, but it might have been out of season. It was at the wrong time. Okay? So we just got to be ultimately it goes into being wise, or being circumspect, understanding the times, knowing where you're at. So Lord, when that this lesson was edifying, before I close, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha HaKodash. Double honors go out to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom.